Next guest speaker usually doesn't need an introduction, but she's so impressive, I'm going to actually read off her resume here because I think all of you should know what she's accomplished. This is Helen Xing, did I say it correctly? Right. She's the current head of data and AI partner go-to-market for AWS in the Americas. And she's an unstoppable force at the intersection of education technology and social impact. With expertise in business development, strategic alliances, and partner sales, she propels companies towards revenue targets. Following a 15-year tenure at Oracle, culminating as Senior Director of Partner Solutions in North American Sales. At Tableau, she pioneered government and education partner ecosystem. And beyond business, Helen is at the forefront of Data for Good, fostering public and private partnerships to support veterans, champion diversity, equity, and inclusion, and social welfare. Helen serves as the chairman of the board of the Nellie Berman Classical Music Institute and holds a master's and an MBA from Wharton University of Pennsylvania here in her home city. So with that being said, please give her a very warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. It's incredible to be in Philadelphia. I'll tell you, I told my friends so many times, I'm speaking at so many different events. This is probably the first event that I've been speaking for years in Philadelphia. Thank you, Philly AI Connect. Thank you, team, and thank you all for being here together with me. Super excited. Now, I know that it's like 7:10. Before I started talking, I wanted to play a video, and hopefully you will like it.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Thank you. Today in this room, you're the ones who are gonna change the world. I know that I have a topic of AI, diversity, inclusion. Before I get into all of that, innovation changed the world. Let me tell you, when I was 17 years old, we're talking about college education, I wanted to use genetic technology to change the world. And many years after, I've done many, many things that people told me that I could not do. I just went and did it. Today, I'm in the data field. Let me ask this. How many of you are AI developers? How many of you are using AI every day? Yes. And how many of you are afraid of using AI? There are a few. Sometimes I'm afraid too, because I have a Tesla, and I'm not sure that I can trust that self-driving. So what I was going to say is that innovation changed the world. And innovation needs diversity of thoughts before any kind of diversity. So let me give you an example. 1867, there was a big inventor in France. And his name is probably forgotten by a lot of people, and he invented this amazing recording device. It was absolutely mind-blowing, and he was so excited. Yet, he was so focused on what he was thinking, he forgot one thing. That is, how do you play back? So 20 years after, Thomas Edison invented the recording device. And only after another 80 years, we're able to play back whatever the inventor invented. He did it all by himself. What if he had a team? So what I want to say, can we move to the next slide, please? I'm sure that all of us are already using AI. If you have an iPhone, you have Siri. You have Alexa at home, you go onto Amazon.com. Even before I joined AWS, I was buying a lot of stuff. I don't know. I see all these things pop up. It's personalized, it's artificial intelligence, right? We're actually touching it, and it was first invented in 1956. It's nothing new. And if you think about machine learning, deep learning, and generative AI, we have a lot of entrepreneurs here, which I'm super, super excited. As a person working with a partner, I'll tell you, our best partners are usually the partners that are inventing, they're building, and actually even Shai is, I don't know where Shai is, but he's Amazonian, and yes. So we always talk about day one. We call everybody builders, right? Building and growing, and it's part of our DNA. I'm just saying that there are so many opportunities tied to generative AI, but it is only a very, very small subset of artificial intelligence. And why it's ready? It's ready because there's so much data everywhere. Video, social media, everybody is on Instagram. And when my son was like a pre-teenager, and I was exercising, and he said to me, "Mom, stop liking my stuff." Everywhere, there's data everywhere. And there's fast development of machine learning. That actually makes it very possible. And also the rise of cloud. I'll tell you that many years ago, I know that my leaders probably went to Department of Defense trying to really position cloud. I was told people almost threw them out. Because everything's on-prem, right? Back in the day. And 15 years after, look at the world. We're just at the beginning. So moving to the next slide. Next slide, please. Yes. So when we're talking about AI, and there's a lot of use cases, examples. I heard a lot about the healthcare and so on. But let me tell you a few examples. First of all, AI thinks 99% of the engineers are male. Okay. Also, 47% more women likely will get injured because the headrest and the car seat, everything is designed for men's physique. So if you think about AI, right, bias can be introduced at any given moment. And now let me unpack diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging a little bit. It comes in many different forms and shapes. And any of you work in the healthcare industry, I think I met someone working in the healthcare industry earlier. And we have a lot of good hospitals, right? Good health systems. Think about maybe one day you walk into the hospital. People are using all these parameters. They see that you bring and make assumption on what kind of medication you use and how do you really get treated and so on. There are a lot of social determinants. I'll tell you that diversity could come in religion, race, age, socioeconomic status, right? It could be even your zip code. Why there are all this data that are, really not allowed to be shared or not appropriate to be shared? Even your zip code could become diversity. And what I'm trying to say here is you got to think about not just that what's obvious. There are a lot of unknowns. And to me, the far most, the one that I wanted to show you, Steve Jobs, and many other inventors, and some of you may be here in this room, is also the diversity of thoughts. So bias and AI. Bias can be introduced at many different stages. It could start at the algorithm design. There are only UNESCO's data, okay? Only 12% AI researchers are women. And guess what? Only 96% developers are African American. We need more people to bring in innovative ideas, starting from the algorithm design, but what about the data selection? What about the training of data? Garbage in and garbage out. And why AI, generative AI, is on the topic of every CXOs and C-levels. It's really a demand of the board, of the CEOs, of the customers, employees, investors, and government. The regulatory, really demand a lot of consideration, and it's also everywhere. Innovation is everywhere, right? So how many of your companies or organizations are thinking about using AI? Everyone, right? Almost everyone. How many are actually seeing something in production that's working? It's amazing, isn't it? So Gartner did a research. From last year, from second quarter, 45% of the C-suites are mandating the company to do some experiment, exploring, and then by the third quarter in 2023, 70% are already piloting. It's not what if we do, it's what if you don't. This will tell everybody my age. I used to have a Blockbuster card. I don't know if anybody have you even heard of? Okay, so Netflix, actually they had an opportunity. Blockbuster had an opportunity to buy Netflix by $50 million. They didn't do it, right? So some of the changes are the AI usage could be at very day-to-day level, just like what you're already doing. Some of those could be game-changing, like what this team is doing, what the teams here are doing. It has really changed the way of how things are done. Keep in mind, when you're thinking about invention, it may not be just inventing something new. It could be inventing new ways of doing things. Who is taking taxi these days? I'm not. I went to Brazil to visit my team, and they told me specifically, you cannot take Uber. You don't understand language. It's going to be very dangerous for you, and you take a taxi. I chose not to because I don't speak Portuguese. I'm worried where they're taking me to. Whereas on Uber, I can see my phone, right? So that's what I'm saying is every day there are opportunities to invent. So as you invent, the diversity of thoughts will allow you to invent in a much more profound way that get to the right result, outcome. Can we go to the next slide, please? So if a lot of the C-levels are thinking about generative AI, I love this slide, by the way. I've been in data field forever for my career. I went to the dark side, by the way, and I started off as a developer. And everybody's thinking, why, I'm not really developing anything right now. I'm working with our strategic partners and with customers. I'm in front of the customer every day. Everybody is talking about Gen AI. So some of you might have watched this TV series called Silicon Valley. Yes? Remember? Back in the day, IoT was the thing. It was the thing. And the guys actually got a burning server back in the back room. So they downloaded all the data from refrigerator. If you recall those times, everything has its peak. And is it hype gonna be over? I'm gonna say that Gen AI is at the tip of the iceberg. Many customers of ours and organizations and people, as you're thinking about it, it is the tip of the iceberg. Without a good data foundation, garbage in, garbage out. And it is also change management. Again, tying to diversity of thoughts. People hate changes, they're not comfortable. The old job's gonna go away, but there are gonna be many other jobs that's created. I have a couple slides after this. I can talk through some of those. as you're thinking about the journey for innovation, data-led transformation, right? Change management is very, very critical. And then you have the new skills, soft skills, hard skills. As the old skills go away, there are going to be a lot of people who's actually develop a creative side. And the policy making is critical, deep learning skills. There's so many opportunities. So we also need to think about data governance. I know that we talk a little bit, I believe Shai and William talked a little bit about data governance, data security. It's so critical, and ethical AI. How do you really leverage AI in the responsible way? So this is really what the C-suites are thinking every day. This is what we're talking about every day. It's almost like, oh, I want this fancy new thing, but somebody got to pet the elephant before the leaders are touching the body part. So it's so important to think about those areas as you're thinking about how do you innovate. And AI is for everybody. It's not for the developers only. It's for everybody. Why? Because we're all knowledge workers. I spent 5 years at Tableau. At that time, we talk about democratize BI. Right now, I'm going to say, how do we democratize AI? And I want to say the diversity of thoughts and the diverse input is at the forefront of all the thinking. So can I move to the next slide? Yes. So there are 3 things I want to really encourage everyone to think about. What do you do to really leverage this new, exciting technology to innovate? Whether you're a developer, are you going to build something monumental for the customer and improve their experience? If you're an employee, how can you leverage what you have to make it a better, more efficient process for yourself and for the others? If you're a student, what are the things you can do to get yourself into the new era? And if you're gonna, you already have very established business, how do you leverage data and AI to transform? This is number 1 thing is AI for everybody. The second thing I wanted to say is really to encourage everyone to look around yourself and really build a community. It's so important that the journey could be really exciting. Like entrepreneurship is really, really hard. I was just speaking in DC last week into the small business, all the business owners and entrepreneurs. They had a lot of questions around this. But this is the future of American economy. Our economy is built upon startups. Once upon a time, Google is a startup. AWS is a startup, right? Tesla is a startup, right? Adobe is a startup. Once upon a time, right? So you gotta really build that community so you have people you can walk along, because people work together, you're gonna work far. You work alone, you're gonna work fast, you're not gonna go anywhere. The fact that we're all here, this is so amazing that you're all here, we're all here. I'm so excited to be able to be part of the Philly event, because again, I spent so much time in DC. I have some friends moved from DC and Atlanta. I'm just so excited that we have this opportunity. Definitely try to at least talk to 5 different people you do not know today before you leave, because building this community is so important. It's going to make your journey a lot easier. The last piece, the third thing I was going to say is, I'm a huge believer of education, K through 12. And I would like to really recommend all of us to pay attention to the talk track about the new platform and how to really help. Maybe it's your brother, sister, maybe it's your children, maybe it's your neighbor's kid. Get them into STEM. We need more diverse kids with diversity of thoughts to get into STEM, to get into technology, so that we can actually make AI a lot better and change our life and build a better community and change the world. Thank you.